Welcome, Erika, to the Gastric Health Show. We are thrilled to have you. And if you would just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
So I am an osteopathic surgeon who loves preventative medicine, loves the gut microbiome, and really loves obesity prevention and surgery. So I'm just so tickled that I get to do all of these things, health coaching, et cetera, through the lens of being a surgeon. And then on the side, as a little passion project, me and one of my favorite dietitians teamed up together, started Art of Bariatrics. We are artofbariatrics.com and Art of Bariatrics on Facebook and Instagram.
The artificial sweeteners, how bad are they for our gut health and our metabolism? How does that change for a weight loss surgery patient?
I would say there are different types of artificial sweeteners, and I don't necessarily know the best way to categorize them, but, aspartame, for example, is chemically derived. There's another, version, to remember, like Sweet and Low, for example. And it basically looks like a sugar molecule, but one of the carbohydrate groups is just replaced with like a chloride ion. And so it's very simple chemical changes that, again, there's many different ways to think about it. And remember, these were originally invented to try to help people in a good way. It's just now we're observing this consequence, right? So that's how everything that, we've ever done in history has always been a well-intended kind of thing. It's not like we're all being malicious.
No.
And then it's just observed, oh, we tipped it the wrong way. Turns out, we can't manipulate this and get a perfect outcome. So that's kind of how I feel about artificial sweeteners. They were well-intended, non-calorie, but the consequences are kind of many. And so one of them is by consuming them, now they're hyper-palatable. That just means they taste too good to be true to the human brain. So we have a lot of foods like that, a lot of processed foods that have natural flavors, additives, right? I mean, I think people are probably familiar now with MSG. So it can create this kind of addictive behavior towards them. And so if you listeners are consuming, say, a, sugar-free something as part of your treat to yourself, ask yourself, can I go without this? And then what happens? Do you start to crave it? Do you start to mentally think about all the ways that you want to get it? So there is an association with more cravings with people that eat chemically flavored, processed kind of food. And again, there's no such thing as perfection. It's just a side effect of those things. In some studies, artificial sweetener use, including stevia, including aspartame, did result in fewer populations of beneficial gut bacteria. One study cited a 50% reduction. So by consuming these they're either called non-nutritive or non-calorie, artificial sweeteners, we will then go and consume more calories than those who aren't eating them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's interesting because, that really contradicts the whole reason why we even invented them in the first place. We invented them to replace sugar, not to actually promote or increase your ability to eat more and to be more hungry. Mm-hmm. There really is this kind of dopamine response that gets, passed on through the brain, and it's kind of more like a drug than it is a nourishment. Mm-hmm. So those are just some of the things that I've seen in the literature that I like to warn people about. Right. And, again, right after bariatric surgery, most of my patients report that their taste buds change. Their sugar, alcohol, protein shake, which they used to love, is too sweet for them after surgery. And again, is there a magic answer? No, but I think if you can avoid eating them every day, you're already winning. It takes about 3 days to repair the gut lining because it's only one cell thick. So I would think if you're, eating these things on a frequency that's around once every 3 to 4 days or a couple of times a week, you're probably going to be fine.
Yep.
without any of these crazy consequences or any of this like food addiction or eating too many calories kind of thing.
Yep.
But I do think that it does hold some truth or some merit if you're one of those people that's always doing the sugar-free coffee creamer or always doing the sugar-free Crystal Light, like that's probably the frequency of use that needs some pause, that needs some reflection. And again, as an experiment, can we go 2 weeks without that stuff? And of course it's hard because people really, again, you go through a withdrawal. Again, you don't even understand or fully appreciate how strong these associations are.
No.
The other thing is, my coaching program, food quality, nutrient density is priority number 1. Calorie goal is number 2. And then number 3 is always like, okay, now what are you missing? What do you wish you had? Like, what are those old favorite things that, you need to work back in? We don't have to go perfectly sugar-free. We don't have to do all this stuff, but let's really be considerate and thoughtful about, what the impacts are.
A very small percentage, I would say, are doing it maybe just for diabetes, and they truly could care less about the weight. Most people I find, even if they're doing it for diabetes or another health condition, they still care deep down about the weight. So across the board, everyone is concerned about how this is going to impact that number on the scale.
We're allowing them to eat fruit and we're giving them a little bit of honey, and they're like, oh, wow. And I'm like, yes, this is what happens when you eat a highly nutritious,
Yes.
Whole foods diet that, has less rules than what diet culture has put on us, but has so much more authentic nutritional support. Choices for the decision of this brings me pleasure in the moment, I'm okay with. I think that's great. Versus kind of mindless things or just daily habits because they're habits and you don't even think about it. The boxes we put ourselves in. And so again, this sweetener kind of discussion, it's not about putting it in a box. And I didn't mean to pick so intensely on Crystal Light.
No.
But that is one of the most commonly used products that I see after bariatric surgery. And just full disclosure, it's not a health food. It's not giving you anything. If anything, it's probably taking things away.